Making headlines first at 9. Another probe. President Maithripala Sirisena pledges to appoint a presidential commission to probe the national carriers Sri Lankan and Mihin Air next week. Also making headlines tonight, more support. UPFA parliamentarian Premalal Jayasekara joins the rally of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Reforms in state enterprises. The IMF says that weak financial performance of major SOEs last year highlight the need for reforms. New deputy Suranga Lakmal given the vice-captaincy of the test team. In news overseas, under fire, US President Donald Trump gets criticized from all quarters for derogatory remarks over African nations. Good evening. With news from across Sri Lanka and around the world on Other Derana 24/7 First at 9, I'm Indivori Amwatha joining you tonight. The Meteorology Department states that they are currently inspecting the damage caused by strong winds which caused heavy damages in Badalgada in Gampaha yesterday. The sudden increase of winds caused damages to more than 6,000 houses and other properties in the area.
Strong winds were reported in the coastal areas from Puttalam to Balapitiya yesterday, with the area of Badalgama in Gampaha being hit hard, causing severe damage. 659 houses in Walpita, Katukenda, Sirigampatha, Diklanda and Alugolla sustained damages owing to strong winds that ripped across the Gampaha district.
I was inside the house when my sister came out. The coconut tree suddenly leaned towards the house. When we jumped to the other side, the jackfruit tree fell.
The wind blew across damaging trees. It looks like a battleground now. There is nothing left. We couldn't even get out from the house at that moment. It suddenly came and destroyed houses. We jumped out to save our lives.
All the books of my children are destroyed.
It destroyed everything within 5 minutes.
A number of vehicles were also left damaged while falling trees disrupted traffic flow.
Trees fell onto my vehicle from both sides. I was inside for about half an hour. Nobody helped me. I was scared to get out of my vehicle since there were electricity wires on top of my vehicle. I called the police. They said they are coming, but they did not. The villagers came and helped me out.
Due to heavy wind conditions happened yesterday in Kampa, Dulapitiya distribution, 659 houses were damaged and 2,976 people were affected. No death reported, only 2 injured people were found. Right now, all the coordination and relief activities are being arranged by the Ministry of Disaster Management and the Divisional Secretariat in the Kampa and the help of the government. At the moment, cooked meals provided by the Divisional Secretariat and dry rations will be provided for tomorrow onwards.
Meanwhile, army personnel are deployed to provide relief and to clear trees as well as debris. In the meantime, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed relevant officials that 10,000 rupees be granted per family affected by the adverse weather. Speaking to First at 9, Minister of Disaster Management Anura Priyadarshana Yapa stated that the lower level disturbance of the weather pattern caused situation similar to that of a tornado.
Because of the low-level disturbance in the weather pattern, we have experienced a type of tornado situation in Madalgam area yesterday. I visited that place in the morning. That was a densely populated area. We are now trying to provide assistance to people and also to clear the blocks. We have now got down around 175 army personnel with heavy machines to cut those trees and clear the houses. And also from the ministry, we have already instructed our officials to provide assistance to the people as well as some tarpaulin and some tents for them. And they are doing it now. And we are providing food to those people. Once the situation is cleared, we will ascertain the damage and we will try to pay the damage to those people.
The power failure experienced from Kotadeniyawa to Godigamuwa due to fallen trees was addressed and restored today. We also inquired from the Department of Meteorology over the sudden arrival of winds.
Officials are inspecting the relevant areas and it looks to be a tornado situation. This sort of conditions can be expected with the prevailing thunder showers. Showers can be expected in the Uva and eastern provinces as well as in Hambantota today, as well as tomorrow. This will gradually decrease after tomorrow. Similar situations can be expected in the months of March and April.
And the Meteorology Department in its latest advisory says due to an active cloudiness in the sea areas of the east of Sri Lanka, the possibility of heavy showers, thunder showers and sudden roughness associated with sudden increase of wind speeds up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour in the deep and shallow sea areas of the coast extending from Kankasanture to Batiklo in Trincomalee is high. This was the latest advisory issued by the Meteorology Department of Sri Lanka. And in your election segment tonight, President Maithripala Sirisena today revealed his intention to appoint a Presidential Commission of Inquiry to probe alleged fraud and corruption at Sri Lankan Airlines and Mihin Air by next week. The head of state made the remark while addressing a public gathering in Dambulla today.
A public gathering of the United People's Freedom Alliance led by Sri Lanka Freedom Party in aid of the local government election was held at Gammuda ground in Dambulla this evening.
The other faction of the SLFP, the one led by GL Piri, says that they cannot join us since we are with the UNP. It was Mahinda Rajapaksa who taught us how to do governments together with the UNP in March of 2007. Ranil Wickremesinghe was invited to Temple Trees and we signed an agreement to form a coalition government. The vision of Bandaranayake wasn't 3 during that time, and neither was the SLFP. You know what that corrupt government did. They speak of black and white in development. Some of it came out recently and more will follow. I will appoint a presidential commission to probe fraud and corruption at Sri Lankan and Mihin Air. Then it will be apparent who's clean. It's because of corrupt politicians the issues of the country cannot be rectified. I accept any challenge to develop this country. I will ensure law and order and take action against anyone who plunder public property irrespective of their party and position. In January of 2014, I proposed Mahinda Rajapaksa to convene all the chairmen and advise them since their actions are embarrassing. Chairmen in the excess of 100 came and it was the former president and I who sat in during the meeting. I gave a 45-minute lecture after whatever they wanted on the sly. After that, the former president told them to do whatever they want on the sly. The result of that is the outcome of the presidential election on the 8th of January in 2015. By the 10th of February, the SLFP will have the greatest public backing.
In the meantime, another public gathering of the UPFA was conducted in Akurasi yesterday, also under the auspices of the president.
We are in a country where a war is won and we respect the forces. But our army doesn't have a headquarters. Some accuse me, saying the army camps in the north are being taken off. Where is the army headquarters of the country? It's not me who vested the land of 6 acres of the army headquarters for Shangri-La Hotel with a deed. The officers of the army, including the chief of the army, are paying rent of up to 43 million rupees for buildings in Colombo and suburbs. It's 500 million per year, and we have been paying it for 4 years now because there isn't a headquarters.
The former Chief Minister of Sabaragamuwa Province joined the public rally of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna in Kegol. The rally was held under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today.
The public rally of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna aiming the upcoming election was held under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the weekly market in Kegol this evening. The former Chief Minister of Sabaragamuwa province joined the public rally.
ආණ්ඩුව බලයට පත් වුණේ මේ රටේ කියන්න තියෙන ඔක්කොම බොරු හා අපහාස කරලා.
This government came to power saying all the lies, deceiving people and the nation. What have they done now? They have betrayed the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in front of the UNP. They robbed the central bank, and the report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry is released now. Yes, no one knows what was done to the money. Ranil Wickremesinghe is always speaking about debt incurred under the Rajapaksa regime. When you walk on the streets of Colombo, you can see what was done with those loans. How much was spent to develop this city? They halted the construction for years and finished them now and put their names on the boards.
In the meantime, another rally of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna was held in front of the bus stand in Palmadulla today. Parliamentarian Premraja Sekara, representing the United People's Freedom Alliance, too joined the rally.
And as the local government election is getting closer, the political arena is not short of opinion. Politicians continue to voice their concerns, with fingers pointed at the government as well as the opposition.
One side accused the UNP of harboring thieves, while the UNP accused the flower bud of the same. Only the SLFP was not accused. The leadership of the SLFP say that they are the cleanest and all others are corrupt. Iraj, who came with a pistol to shoot us at the Hambantota port, is with the SLFP. The wife of Sunil, who rapes 300 women and partied, is contesting from the SLFP. They think that we would be afraid of the thuggery of the UNP. Whatever theft they attempt to cover up, there is no escape for this government from this election. I too am a member of COPE. There is no fraud in this bond. All the money is in the treasury. There is 12 billion there. They speak of 11 billion. That could be recovered with $1 billion to spare. The Commission successfully conducted investigations and produced a report. Not only that, the President is ready to forward the report to relevant institutions for further action. The report has to be ready before arresting the person. In a backdrop where the report is not made available to read for parliamentarians, I am wondering what manner of a report this could be. The process we adopted enables the recovery of money from banks if there is an actual issue of 11 billion pertaining to the Bond Commission. But no one questions the 4,000 billion stolen by the Rajapaksas. Namal Rajapaksa says that the bond scam outweighs all the thefts during their tenure. They accept that there have been thefts. Then the other side accuses that a 4,000 billion theft by the previous regime is greater than the bond scam. We are having to place them in a scale and determine which is the petty thief. Ravi Karunayaka says that he had a house of his own, which is not necessarily his. Even Basil Rajapaksa said the same thing.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa is of the view that the upcoming local government election can be exploited to send a message against the unsuccessful process adopted by the present government. He expressed his thoughts on the subject while joining a meeting organised in Gampaha.
The former Defence Secretary joined a gathering through Skype organised for the benefit of contestants representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna.
This government is following an unsuccessful Western ideology. Today the government is unable to recognize if they have any challenges or not. The only challenge they have recognized is the challenge of Mahinda Rajapaksa, state institutions that make losses weigh on the country. We should close down such institutions because maintaining them has become an issue to the economy. Moreover, to develop the country, the infrastructure should be developed. The regime of Mahinda Rajapaksa commenced that process. But unfortunately, this government completely halted developing infrastructure for over 2 years now. We completed a service when we were in power. We know that mistakes were made during the previous government as well. We identified those mistakes and we should correct them. Although there are mistakes, we should think as to what are the good things we did and what are the mistakes made. A real political system should be introduced to this country. The upcoming local government elections should be made an opportunity to oppose the government and give them a message about their unsuccessful process.
Moving on to other local stories, legal representatives of former Sri Lankan ambassador to the United States, Jalia Wickremasurya, released a media communique giving clarity to the issuance of an open warrant for his arrest. The Colombo Fort Magistrate issued the open warrant on the 5th of this month. According to the communique, legal representative of former Sri Lankan ambassador to the US stated that on July last year, the former ambassador obtained legal permission to travel to the United States for medical treatment. However, as the ambassador attempted to leave the United States for further treatment in September last year, he was stopped by United States authorities at the airport.
According to the communique, the US authorities allegedly warned him of arrest should he leave the country, citing that an investigation against the former ambassador, as per a request made by the Sri Lankan government, is ongoing. Although the ambassador had highlighted his diplomatic privileges and immunity, in response, US officials had informed Wickremasurya that the present government has revoked his diplomatic immunity for this tenure, which rendered him liable for his arrest. The communique further added that US authorities informed the former ambassador that if he was willing to provide them information pertaining to war crimes allegations, they were willing to cooperate with him in return. However, the former ambassador allegedly refused to hold discussions and said that he is protected under the diplomatic immunity of the Vienna Convention. The communique adds, when Jalia Wickremasurya requested clarity into his diplomatic status from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tilak Marapana, in writing, he was told that he still holds diplomatic immunity and privileges. Thereby taking into consideration the sequence of events, legal representatives of the former ambassador noted that a verbal agreement was struck between the two governments seeking his arrest. However, following the incident, it was stated that the Sri Lankan government, via a diplomatic note, informed the United States that measures be taken to revoke diplomatic immunity and privileges of the former ambassador and that the United States can conduct investigations. His legal representatives added that it is in this backdrop that the former ambassador was unable to appear before court as he was not allowed to leave the US. The communique added that when making submissions in court in Sri Lanka, legal representatives of the former ambassador was informed by the Assistant United States Attorney Zia M. Faruqi that should he leave the country, he is liable for arrest. Thereby, his legal representatives noted that the request made by the Financial Crimes Investigation Division for an open warrant for his arrest is illogical and unjust.
Under the Manusa Derana Sipsal Pupuduwa school stationery books and school bags were distributed to all students of the Sri Sarananda Mahavidyalaya in Pilimatalawa recently. This was the 13th extension of the Manusa Derana CSR initiative's Sipsal Pupuduwa program initiated by the CSR program. And here's a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka in brief now.
A group of former employees of the Magampura port in Hambantota engaged in a fast unto death campaign for the 5th consecutive day today. However, 10 out of the 11 in the group were hospitalized after suffering health complications owing to the protest. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Magampura Port Employees Association said that the president assured that he will intervene and find solutions to their issues. A body of a female was recovered from a house located in Rawatavatta, Moratuwa. According to police, the incident is suspected to be a murder. The victim is identified as a 44-year-old mother of one. Suspects are yet to identified and police investigations are underway. The officer in charge of the Peta police station is transferred with immediate effect in relation to the suicide of a 17-year-old detainee at the Peta police station recently. According to reports, the OIC has been transferred to the Batiklo police station under the instructions of the Inspector General of Police and the National Police Commission.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
The International Monetary Fund says the weak financial performance of major state-owned enterprises last year highlights the need for timely reforms. 3 state-owned enterprises under the Extended Fund Facility Program of the IMF, namely the CEB, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Sri Lankan Airlines, recorded a combined loss of 52 billion rupees in the first half of 2017 as opposed to a combined profit of 0.2% of GDP in 2016. Meanwhile, commenting on the monetary policy stance during a teleconference, the IMF mission chief for Sri Lanka, Jayewal Lee, said that monetary policy should maintain a tightening bias until clearer signs emerge that inflation and credit growth have stabilized, supported by macroprudential measures if needed.
Reforms of key state enterprises in energy and aviation should proceed without further delays. Structural reforms to enhance competitiveness and promote inclusive growth should also continue. The program focuses on bringing about fiscal consolidation through revenue mobilization, and which will then reduce the need for government borrowing. In other words, by reducing the primary government deficit, we mainly measured through primary balances.
As far as this automatic pricing mechanisms are concerned for Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Ceylon Electricity Board, do you feel that that would alleviate their current situation?
The pricing formula is aimed at ensuring the effective operation of state-owned enterprises and limiting unintended fiscal burden from the operation of these SOEs. As the economic circumstance changes, it will have some effect on profits and losses, and the immediate pass-through of the changing economic circumstances to the current profit and losses can also be factored into the design of the pricing formula. So these are factors to be considered.
So is the central bank's stance to maintain monetary policy at the same level since March last year, was it prudent? And are you still saying that the central bank should be ready to tighten monetary policy further?
Our stance has been, given the fairly high headline inflation, which has continued throughout the year, most of the year, and also quite strong, quite high credit growth number, monetary policy should make sure that inflation and credit growth pressure are under control, or we head off the risk of those pressures growing further. But we will also need to evaluate the overall monetary policy stance, considering many other indicators which both we and central bank monitor.
Minister of Law and Order Sagala Ratnayaka observes that the government should introduce legislation to tackle the issue of refuse tea. Speaking at a function in Deniaya, Minister Ratnayaka pointed out that the country's tea industry faces a severe risk in the international market due to bad practices by certain stakeholders. He also called on tea factory owners to take the responsibility and initiate immediate measures to solve the issue of refuse tea in the market.
The minister was speaking at a function to vest the National Institute of Plantation Management with the public at Diyadawa in Deniaya yesterday.
During our 1977 government, taxes were paid to the Treasury until about 1989. This was not in small amounts, but in billions, even at the time. The plantation industry is an important part in running this country. The methodology used in the plantation industry back then was also followed by smallholder planters too. But as time went by, we lost touch with all these good practices. More than rising prices, it was our harvest that began to hit the tea industry. It is only by improving our human resources that we will be able to build up good practices.
The minister also called on owners of tea factories to help protect the tea industry and take responsibility to put an end to refuse tea being sold.
Even 3 days ago, they found a stock of 17,000 kilograms of refused tea that was to be sold. Many bad practices are followed at production stage. Recently, we faced a massive problem when an insect was found in a consignment of tea. There will be a bigger issue at hand if we export colored tea or tea with sugar added into it to a foreign country. If such stocks are examined and proven to be of substandard quality, our entire tea export business will be over.
In international business news, Russia says it might discuss the country's potential exit from the OPEC output reduction deal in Oman next week. Russia had vowed to cut output by 300,000 barrels per day under the agreement as part of a group of non-OPEC producers who elected to coordinate the bloc's market stabilization initiative. According to Reuters, Russian oil majors have been complaining about the deal and how it is creating stumbling blocks on the road towards the industry's expansion plans. In news overseas, US President Donald Trump's reported outburst against immigrants from certain nations on Thursday with the use of a foul term has not gone down well in Africa as reactions to his comment triggered outrage across the world. Trump has been under fire at home and abroad after some reports said he referred to Haiti and African nations in a disrespectful manner during a meeting on an immigration deal with a group of bipartisan lawyers at the White House.
The comment reportedly came as Republican and Democratic senators were briefing the president on changes to the U.S. visa lottery system and considerations about immigration from Africa. The African Union has demanded that U.S. President Donald Trump apologize for his comments. The group's mission in Washington, D.C. expressed its shock, dismay and outrage and said the Trump administration misunderstood Africans. But Trump denies using the language reported. Trump tweeted yesterday that the language he used at the private meeting with lawmakers to discuss immigration legislation had been tough. But he added that the words attributed to him were not the language used. Despite his denial, Trump's comments were not well received by African nations.
Well, I think it is not unnatural of American President Donald Trump. We are used to what I will call infantile tantrums from the leader of the #1 nation in the world.
Because he came across so much wealth, he thought that the world is under his feet and he can do anything, say anything and get away with it.
What Donald Trump said is offensive because at the end of the day we're all human beings created in the property of God. So we are all part of one.
The Haitians also marked their 8th anniversary yesterday since a devastating earthquake that rocked the country in 2010, in which 220,000 people died. Hillary Clinton also tweeted in remembrance of the tragic day. She also stated that rather than honoring the resilient people, we have to listen to racist remarks against anyone who does not look like him. The growing backlash over Trump's comments didn't stop there. Yesterday, in a tweet, Trump announced he was scrapping the visit to London to open the new embassy, saying the new embassy was a bad deal. However, Londoners weren't exactly sad over the news.
Yes, isn't that terrible? It's so brilliant. We don't want him here. Thumbs up to South London. Yes, he dissed us all. He's a monster. Not welcome.
Because he's a horrible, horrible person. Because he's a racist, he's homophobic, he's sexist. Basically everything bad in the world. Everything bad in a person. So yeah, no, he can stay away.
Here's a look at other stories making headlines from across the world.
According to a statement made by US President Donald Trump and issued by the White House yesterday, the United States will not resume sanctions against Iran if it complies with the nuclear deal. Calling it a last chance, Trump said his country will not waive sanctions again in order to stay in the Iran nuclear deal. Trump has long been critical about the deal inked between 6 world powers, namely China, Russia, Britain, France, Germany and the United States, calling it one of the worst deals the US has ever made. 2 bodies of the 32 mariners were found on deck from the Iranian oil tanker today, as 13 vessels attempted to put out the fire after the collision. 4 members from the rescue team has searched the cockpit and found no one. It also said that high temperatures of the crew's living room made it impossible for the rescue team to access, but they did find the black box on board the oil tanker. The oil tanker has been ablaze for almost a week since it collided with another vessel in the East China Sea. The oil tanker has been ablaze for almost a week since it collided with another vessel in the East China Sea. Women attended a soccer match in Saudi Arabia for the first time yesterday. The introduction of women to soccer matches in Saudi is part of reforms in the kingdom, with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman seen by many as the face of that change. In a decree issued in September, King Salman also ordered by June an end to the ban on women drivers.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
And in cricket, Suranga Lakmal is given the responsibility of being the vice-captain for the Test series set to be played with Bangladesh and will now assist Captain Dinesh Chandimal. Issuing a communique, Sri Lanka Cricket stated that Lakmal will fill the role of vice-captain only for the upcoming Test series.
Suranga Lakmal has represented Sri Lanka in 42 Test matches and has 96 wickets against his name. Dinesh Chandimal will lead the 16-member squad, which will take part in the 2 Test match series against Bangladesh. The squad comprises of Dinesh Chandimal, Dimut Karunaratne, Angelo Matthews, Danushka Gunatilaka, Kusal Mendes, Dhananjay De Silva, Niroshan Dikwalla, Roshan Silva, Rangana Herath, Suranga Lakmal, Dilruwan Pereira, Dushmanta Chamira, Lakshan Sandakan, Akila Dhananjaya, Lahiru Gamage and Lahiru Kumara. The first test will be played from 31st January to the 4th February in Chittagong, while the second test will get underway on the 8th of February in Dhaka.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Well, it's gradually getting warmer with temperatures expected to vary between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius. When looking at the map, a low pressure zone will form from the eastern province will gradually move towards the western province. Well, it will be very sunny in Anuradhapura, Trincomalee, Jaffna and Mena. Showers can be expected in Gaul, Nigambo, Matara and Hambantota. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
And that's all on the news tonight. But before we go, we'd like to take you to a military drill in China, where the Chinese President Xi Jinping issued orders to the army as it's started a new group of training in the new year. More than 7,000 officers and soldiers attended the rally in the main venue, where about 300 pieces of military equipment were arranged in rows. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.